Well, hello there, and welcome back to The Metagame, the live streaming show right here on the Dice Tower, where we not only talk about board games, but sometimes talk about talking about board games. I am your host, a complete CGI replication of Chaz Marler, and as soon as I make sure that the audio and video quality is acceptable, I will introduce the chat. Because today we are going to be speaking with the chat about not necessarily physical board games, but their growing in popularity counterpart, the electronic online simulator replications of board games. So okay, I got a confirmation that our audio and video is good, because it's nice that you guys can always hear me. And for me to hear you, here's what you do, because this show isn't just me. This show is actually made possible by the participation of you guys in the chat. So if you are in that chat and you would like to participate, you have a question, a comment, or something related to today's show during the show that you would like considered for inclusion in the show, make a YouTube comment and add the hashtag TMG for the metagame to your post. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my web browser's search tool to search for that hashtag, which is going to make all of the comments that include that hashtag highlighted, kind of rise to the top, and help me find those a lot quicker. So speaking of what we're going to be speaking of today, today's topic is about, like I said, tabletop simulators online. And the reason that this topic came to my mind this week is because there is an application called Tabletop Simulator, and I'll give you a screenshot here real quick. Move this out of the way. Ta-da! Technology. So not Tabletop Simulator, I'm sorry, Tabletopia. Tabletop Simulator is another one we'll be talking about in a bit. But Tabletopia is a very ambitious project that has been in beta development for a very long time. And this is a simulator of 3D modeling with real physics and everything, of a simulator for playing board games and card games. And you can actually pick up the pieces, and there's no rules enforcement or anything, but basically it's this fire environment. And it was kickstarted, and it's been in development for a while. And the neat thing is that Tabletopia finally exited its beta and became live this week. So it's kind of this kind of milestone for the potential of online board gaming. So what I want to know is, I want to take I want to, in this episode, take a little bit of a look at our histories of online board gaming, or attempting to play board games online. Take a look a bit at the history, see where we've gone. Take a look at some of the various online board gaming platforms that are available, and just find out what you guys have done online, and just kind of see where the discussion leads us. I need to make one note real quick, because while I was mentioning that, while I was speaking, I thought of another one to add to the list to talk about today. So let's go and move this window out of the way, because there's a lot of windows today as well, which is always exciting to watch someone work on their computer. All right. So first of all, before I get into my story, let's just go check in with our chat. Let's try some chat right off the bat here, because I saw a comment from Mike Jones, who joins us regularly, and he had a very interesting comment kind of setting the premise for today's show. So I thought it might be nice to start with his comment to see what kind of discussion that sparks right off the bat. So Mike Jones, I'm turning my mic over to me to read your comment. And it's kind of a 5-part comment here. So let's start. Mike mentions that I am so glad that you created this topic, Chaz. Well, that's good, because I didn't know how much interest there would actually be in this particular topic. So that's good to hear. He continues, long have I waited to address the 8 gazillion pound elephant in the room, technology. To be precise, he continues, what happens when the storage/time solution is not one created by the current industry, but by innovative competitors who see an opportunity? He continues with an example, saying, look at what happened in the fight of Games Workshop versus technology. At first, it looked bleak, and then Games Workshop showed its true chops and just why this company has managed to survive through not an economically easy quarter of a century. He says that Games Workshop embraced the new. Now we have some of the best 40K games ever. It helps so much when the audience brings their own comedic material. I appreciate that. It makes my job so much easier. He continues, he wraps up with, I would like your thoughts on a simulated tabletop that the companies make for people who have bought the physical game. You played Magic Online, like you said. What would you have thought if that had been free for all of the pieces of the game that you physically owned? Would that be a possible solution? Whew! Okay. Excellent comment there, and a lot to chew on. But let's, that kind of was nice because that's going to dovetail right into the starting point of my part of the discussion as well. So first of all, I do know that the Games Workshop, I know that they have some really well-received app versions of their games. And like iOS, iPad, and iPhone apps of games are actually one very large portion of this discussion that I actually didn't even add to my notes yet for today. Because the app development is such a large portion of this discussion that I think it's deserving of its own dedicated segment or episode. So I'm not going to delve too much into iOS, Android, and other apps for mobile devices for that reason. I'm going to concentrate more on the things kind of like Tabletopia, playing on your computer, either a web-based portal or an online actual application that you install and play. And whether it's a specific game, but more often these portals to play multiple games. Because what's really interesting about these portals is one of the portions of this discussion I'm very interested to get your guys' feedback on. One of the features of some of these portals is some of them, the games are built in tandem with the developer, the publishers themselves. And the publishers actually will provide art resources and and everything they need. So they're actually working from the same art files that the games themselves were made from. And other ones, they're just made by fans of the game that, they are given the tools, an engine to build a game environment. And they're given these tools and the fans of the games just go and make these games by themselves without any intervention from the publisher. So, and I see that real similar. Perhaps I'm the only one who sees it this way, but there's always some discussion going on about making homemade versions of existing games. For example, there is a really neat abstract game. Actually, there's a picture of the box right here. Santorini. Santorini is this neat little abstract game where the players are playing on a grid. So you have this grid and you have pawns that are on this little this grid of squares. And on your turn, you will be moving one of your pawns and then placing a portion of a 4-story building. It's actually a 3-story building plus a little dome cap on top. And the object of the game, is to build these buildings 1 story at a time and move your pieces around. And so the components are these pawns, the board, and the little pieces of the buildings that you're building. Theoretically, this game could be recreated, a homemade version of this could be recreated using, something like a chessboard, some pawns, and some checkers. So really, you could use a chess set and a checker set, and just use the checkers to stack up to make the buildings that you're building. And you could get the same result without all the eye candy. And some people see this as okay because you're not reselling the game as your own. But some people see this as not okay because they think that you are stealing the intellectual property from the publisher. Anyway, that's when you're recreating a game using homemade pieces and stuff. But some of these online portals that are replicating these games, the ones that are not produced in tandem with the publisher, some people I imagine, I haven't heard people like picketing them or online bashing them or anything. But you'd think that some of these people would be upset thinking that same thing, that they're stealing intellectual property. Interestingly enough, I have had some interaction and heard information about certain actual publishers in the board game industry that have varied views on this as well, much more varied views than I would have thought. Some are embracing the online gaming platforms, and some are kind of keeping their distance from them, worrying that they may cannibalize their sales. Even shunning the ones that are paid platforms, because some are free and some are paid, even shunning the ones that are paid platforms that they would be getting a residual on, because it is not the physical product that they have been producing. So there is a whole big coconut to crack open and scoop out some information from and some discussion from. What do you guys think? Is the recreation of board games on these online platforms without the intervention of the publishers, is that theft of intellectual property? And should publishers be wary of or embrace these online board gaming platforms? Because is it cannibalizing their physical product sales? Or is it actually a marketing tool that helps spread the word to get more people to find out about the game and go and buy it? I, for one, I'll tell you my opinion of it. Going back to Tabletopia here real quick, just as two examples, some great examples here. Santorini, I've had my eye on for a while as a good family game. And I'm just speaking from my own experience here. I'm not saying this is how it will be, but I'm just giving you my example, and I'd love to hear yours. Santorini is a game that I've had my eye on for a while as a nice family game. Don't own a copy of it, but I played it on Tabletopia last week, and that was the thing that pushed it over the edge, that it's now in my wish list for like the next time I get a big board game. I make an online board game purchase, it'll probably be one of them that I add to my order, because I played it and was like, yep, I would love to have a physical version of this game. Also, another, by comparison, Scythe over here. Scythe is a game that I do own a physical copy of, and I've played the physical copy of, and I really enjoy the game. But I would also play it here online through this portal with people that I don't have the opportunity to play it with in person, people that are across the country or something. But Scythe, playing it this way, is going to keep it on my radar, and it's actually, I feel, going to help it come off the shelf more often, because it's going to be in front of me more often, and that will lead to more time spent with the game, and which I think can't help but be a good thing for the longevity of the product. All right. So there's kind of the introduction. Before I get to going through some of these that I have some varied amount of experiences with, let's return back to the chat and see if I can catch up with where the chat left off here. So let me do my search again here real quick. Let me do my search correctly. There it is. All right, everyone. Here we go. Woo! Hey, we are going to go to our next comment here as we try to catch up. Oh, there's quite a few now. Okay, let's catch up quickly. Okay. I'm sorry, Gazencha, I'm going to skip down a little bit here. Okay. Nope. Okay. Gazencha, I'm sorry. continues out where Mike Jones left off a little bit here with asking, would your ideal new microwave, because regular viewers will know I am still in this Lord of the Rings-like journey adventure to find a replacement microwave. Would your ideal new microwave be capable of running Tabletopia, Tabletop Simulator, or even just Brett Spielwit, which is another one. All three of those are online platforms, which we'll look at in a bit. My ideal new microwave would actually just actually play Pong on the front. You can use the buttons to play Pong while it cooks your burrito. So nothing too fancy for me. I'm a man of simple tastes. Come on, let's not go crazy there. Okay, but let's continue and try to get caught up here a little bit with Squelch, who is echoing Mike Jones. And because his comment says, echoing Mike Jones, I'd be interested more if the online versions of games were free with the purchase of the physical copy. If I have to pay for both, then just the physical copy. That is a really good aspect of this that I think I've seen come up again and again. It would be really neat to have access to an online version in tandem to a physical copy when you buy it. That would, I think I saw comments here that are coming up, but I'll mention it right now. One of them, is in the one of the next comments, is a game that I think that would be perfect for that would be CCGs, customizable card games, like Magic Online. If you were able to take a CCG and somehow be able to credit a person's online account with the physical cards that they purchase somehow, allowing them to use an online editor to make and test the decks when they have the physical copies, and even play it online with the cards that they have in real life, I would probably get back into Magic the Gathering full bore if that became something that existed. But what does exist, well, we'll get to that after we catch up on the comments. Trevin, who is kind of spearheading the ongoing microwave discussion each week. Thanks, Trevin. Trevin mentions, wow, got here in seconds and the microwave has already been discussed. Yes, and now it's been discussed, we can continue on our way. Kazencha mentions Magic Online, saying, with Magic Online and Pokemon iOS app stuff, ideally you'd be able to get parity of collections. Everything you get physically would get digital and vice versa. Again, I think, Gazencha, what we've seen already here, I think that we're going to see a lot of consensus for this encouragement of how that would be awesome to allow getting a digital counterpart for physical stuff. I think it'd be incredibly complicated to do, but I think it's one of those things that probably within the next, 5 to 10 years, I think that we will see that. And one that's successful. There's bound to be some that try it and just fail and have problems. But I think within 5 to 10 years, we'll see one that changes the rules of the game, for lack of a better pun, that sets the stage for the new normal. And, to the point where that becomes almost like a genre like deck building, online hybrid games or something. I think it's only a matter of time that things go in that direction. What effect will it have on the physical board game industry? I don't know. But that's one of my long-term predictions. And if I was able to have really neat real-time graphics for this show, I would have long-term prediction graphics show up on the screen and maybe even be animated, perhaps with a sparkle, maybe just a shine, more of a shine really. But that's what I do. I would make that graphic. But since I don't have a graphic, we'll continue on to the next comment, which is again from Mike Jones, who continues with, I'd like everyone's opinion. Oh, cool. Now, I guess hopefully everyone saw this in the comments and are going to give opinions on this. Mike Jones would like everyone's opinion of the actual fusion of board game and card game and computer game that is Chronicle RuneScape Legends. And he not only adds a please, he adds a smiley face emoticon. So Mike Jones really means it and is sincerely asking this question. Mike Jones, I'll give you my opinion and my honest opinion about Chronicle RuneScape Legends, I haven't played it, so I can't help you there. But hopefully the rest of the chat can. To be honest, I have not heard a lot about Chronicle. I'm thinking Codex, but no, that's a game by Searland Games. I have not heard a lot about Chronicle, but I'm always interested to see how technology and board games are meshing. So I'm going to go check that out because that sounds something really intriguing. Like you mentioned, the fusion of board games and card games and computer games. So hopefully the other people in the chat will pick up my slack in that respect. Gazensha mentioned that based on what Jamie Stegmaier is the founder of Stonemaier Games, who makes Scythe and Euphoria and several other awesome games. And also I've mentioned every time he comes up, he has an amazing blog and gives so much information to the public about what it's like to be a board game publisher, especially board game publisher running Kickstarters. Just a great guy and a great wealth of information. But Gazensha mentions, based on what Jamie Stegmaier said during the Kickstarter, Tabletopia was actually invaluable to him during the Scythe Kickstarter, making it easier for people to try the game before backing than a print and play would have been. And that's one thing I think is just amazing. Scythe, for how complex a game it can be, I mean, there's a lot of decisions you can make, a lot of things you can do. The Tabletopia version of Scythe was produced in time to be used during its Kickstarter. It wasn't like made as an afterthought afterwards. Something for other publishers maybe to take note of. Jamie Stegmaier and Stonemaier Games, they put that level of thought and planning into it where they had the Tabletopia version, boom, right there, ready to go during their Kickstarter, which obviously Jamie himself says he saw an impact from having that available. So there's something that's kind of a twist on this. A lot of times the conversation seems to be creating a online counterpart of a game to keep or renew interest in an older title. Here's where the online counterpart of a game was used beforehand as a marketing tool to build interest in the game while it was on Kickstarter. I gotta admit, I'm impressed. And it worked, and I think it was a brilliant idea. And obviously, I don't know, maybe it cannibalized his sales. Maybe there were people that said, well, I'll just continue playing on Tabletopia. I don't need to do the Kickstarter. But what I know about board gaming and being a board gamer myself, I doubt that anyone after playing Scythe said, oh, this is going to be good enough for me. At least a very small percentage probably was in that boat. So, okay. My search seems to have stopped highlighting the searches. So let me go back. There we go. Hey, 20-Sided Turtle joins us again. It's been a while. Always good to see your avatar and words when I can't see you in person at a convention. But 20-Sided Turtle mentions, hi, Chaz. It's been a while since I had a free Friday. I was just talking about how it's been a while. But anyway, he mentions, my buddies and I play D&D online. And this, again, just like I mentioned, the iOS apps, this could be a whole nother section on itself. There's some GM RPG gaming online app tools that are really, really valuable. In fact, I think the first online tool that I used was probably just a thing that lets you make a layout of a dungeon, put like furniture and walls in it, and it had a little chat window and a little thing of rolling dice that you could rent out some number randomizers. And a friend of mine who lives across the country and I did some RPG sessions with this tool online. And this was probably 15 to 20 years ago now. And so I can't remember what it was called, and it's probably way outdated by now, but there are some really good tools for those. And in fact, there's probably so many tools and different varieties, and they can be so useful in doing RPG campaigns. I think that's a whole nother subsection, like the iOS games, that would be deserving of being their own segment, their own episode in and of itself down the road, because it's a whole nother thing to get into. Okay, let's get a couple more comments, and then we're going to switch over. I'm going to go through some slides of actually some of the online gaming platforms that are readily available. So I'll try to get to that at the halfway point of the show. We're almost there. But let's work our way to it with a few more comments here. Kabuki Kid mentions, I'd be willing to try digital board gaming, but I am a bit of a Luddite, so I believe I will only really enjoy proper physical board gaming. That is an aspect of the online gaming that I was waiting to have come up. What's neat about a lot of these, I'd say a some percentage of these online platforms are actual 3D environments with physical gravity and stuff like that. And no rules enforcement. You just move the pieces around. And even though you're moving these 3D pieces around on this table, it is not the same to me as having the physical game in front of you. It does not replace that experience. If I was given the two, the determining factor of which one I would use is basically, are the people I want to play with remote or local? And that's really the determining factor. So I guess, Kabuki Kid, I suppose I'm a bit of a Luddite as well. So there you go. I'll join you in the penalty box. And we'll play a physical board game together in the penalty box. But Gazensha mentions, I've dabbled with Magic the Gathering's digital implementation, parentheses, painful, Pokemon CCGs, about as good as Hearthstone's actually, and Brett Spielwit. A couple of apps also, but not so much. All right. Gazensha, you are not the only person here who has dabbled with Magic the Gathering's painful digital implementation. And this is a perfect introduction to my history with the platforms and all the platforms out there that I've been able to get shots of. Let's start with that one because other than the little RPG simulator thingy, Magic the Gathering Online was the first platform that I used, and it was it was my introduction to really online gaming. And like I mentioned, in the mid 90s, I was really heavy into Magic the Gathering, and it was probably I want to say 98, 99, maybe 2000, 2001, that a friend of mine and I were playing Magic Online together a lot. I wanted to get some screenshots and info about Magic Online because the main thing that you will notice about Magic Online is the thing that everyone notices first and foremost is the user interface of the application. There's a story there, which is too long of a story for right now, but essentially it stinks like feet. I went to in preparation for today's show, I went to the Magic the Gathering Online website to try and get some screenshots of the application. And they have this nice ad for events on their website. They have a sentence of what is Magic Online. Another little ad for learning more. That wouldn't load. Then they have a big, huge, blank, empty section of their website that didn't load correctly. And then they have some more stuff that didn't load quite all the way. A thing about their online events that you can pay to do, their technical support, and a footer. And I thought it was really kind of telling of my own experience with Magic the Gathering Online, that the primary things that I found on their webpage were a big broken area, a not loading right area, a spot where they try to get you to give them your money, and then a place where you can call for help. That, in a nutshell, pretty much mirrors my experience with Magic the Gathering Online. Now, to be fair, no, I can't think of anything fair to say about it. Magic Online has great potential, but a couple of things that are really weird about it. First of all, other than being plagued by production and user interface problems from early on, Magic the Gathering Online, you actually buy booster packs with the same random assortment of cards as you do the physical version of the game. So their business model is trying to be as identical as possible as going down to the game shop and buying a starter or a booster pack. You're going to pay, they're priced at the exact same manufacturer MSRP. They're the same price point, and it has the same kind of card distribution. Interestingly enough, their card distribution mimics their card production mimics the real world's production so closely that at times they will actually sell out of their online digital, not a real thing inventory of product. I want to just let that sink in, that this stuff that is created on digitally can sell out, which is a little strange. But another thing that I think is strange is that they're selling their online product at the exact same MSRP as a physical product. And I can understand why they're doing it. They don't want to devalue the physical portion of the game. But it seems a lot of people have a problem getting over that mental hurdle of, oh, I'm buying something that isn't physical. I'm not buying something that does actually exist. Why would I pay the same amount? Look at ebooks. Ebooks traditionally have been sold at a lower price point than the physical versions of the books because there's no printing, no production, no shipping, or anything like that. Magic the Gathering Online, though, did not take that approach. And at first, a lot of people thought that it was me thought that it was because they were going to take that revenue that they generated from the online sales and put that into development of their technology. And I don't necessarily think that that ever came to pass. Because again, here is the best example of the quality of the product that I can find. All right. But that was my introduction to online gaming. And after Magic Online waned a little bit, I moved on to, that's when Settlers of Catan kind of became popular. And a site that used to only be in German, but I think has since introduced some English versions and documentation, is a website called Brett Spielwelt. And I apologize, I don't speak German, so my enunciation and pronunciation is probably horrible. And if I load anything on this website, it's going to launch like a Java app or something, which is going to kill my live stream and cause frames to drop. So I'm not going to load anything on this page. But here, at least you can get the name of it right here, because it is a German name, I believe, or Dutch or Swedish or something where my ignorant American attitude shows, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. But anyway, this has a nice online application of Settlers of Catan, among some other games as well. And it was really the first online portal that I ever used for anything other than just Magic. And again, this was 15 years ago or so that we were playing Catan on this platform. And it was very difficult to find the game that you were looking for. My friend and I would actually have to be on the phone together and talk each other through where to find each other's games to get logged in together to play. So it was really difficult to find each other. Once you got started, it was just a nice 2D replication of Settlers of Catan, and the rules were enforced in it, which was nice. And you even had bots that could play to fill up the other seats if you were playing fewer than a full game. But so Brett Spiel, it's nice to see it still exists. It's still around and people are still playing it. People are still mentioning it in the comments here today. So that's really cool. That was kind of the starting point for my real my first portal to online gaming, but it centered mostly on Settlers of Catan. And there has since there's been another actual dedicated website produced in tandem with Settlers of Catan. And it has some crazy weird names like Play Fun or something. I couldn't find it in time. I forgot what the URL of this new portal for playing Settlers of Catan is. So if anyone out there knows what I'm talking about, put it in the comments or put it in the chat, and I'll see if I can load it up here as an example. But then time passed. That's about the time that I think this was even before Dominion and stuff. And so I kind of was out of board games for a while. And then when I came back in about 2012 or so and got back into the hobby, a website that I was introduced to then was another really nice one, Board Game Arena. Board Game Arena, again, is like 2D models of the games. You play it right in your web browser. It's not an application that you install. And it seems to be very popular with the people I know on Twitter and the other people in the online board gaming community. So Board Game Arena seems to be a very popular one if you are looking for a platform that is free to play and is popular with a lot of people and has a large library of games. Board Game Arena may be one to take a look at. And so Board Game Arena is one. Here's just they say they have 104 different games available. Here's just some of them. I think I played Stone Age earlier this fall with someone on Board Game Arena, and it was actually my first game of Stone Age. I've had it for a while, but it hasn't hit the table, so it was a great opportunity to get into the game and play it. And again, there was rules enforcement built into it, so it helped guide new players through how to play. So that's really nice. And they have a complete list of all their games right here, which are even links, so you can go there. Do they have Las Vegas? No. That's a bummer. Okay. So that's that's Board Game Arena. Everything is not Tabletop Simulator. This is Board Game Arena, a lowercase Tabletop Simulator, but not uppercase, proper noun, Tabletop Simulator, which we'll get to in a minute. But before we get to that, another one that is kind of, I think, in the same vein as Board Game Arena is Yucata. And Yucata here, again, is 2D, I believe. You create a table. It has a nice library of games here. And I noticed that they had Las Vegas, so I opened up another tab here so that we could see a picture. So we can kind of see what the implementation of some of these online portals of the games look like. So you can see you got here your dice that you're rolling. You got your different casinos and the dice that are being placed at those casinos. So you kind of have everything that you need for a lot of these games in a nice 2D environment. You're not going to be able to, go and manipulate everything on the table or the simulated table, but really, you don't necessarily need to. I mean, you're playing a game. And, this actually is I think, a faithful representation, of the games. So whether it's Board Game Arena or Yucata, there you go. And in this kind of the same trilogy of Board Game Arena and Yucata, we also have Boite. Boite, I believe it is French. I have not played on Boite because I just haven't. I have no excuse. I apologize. You feel free to hold that against me for until I get a microwave. I believe once I get a microwave, I'll come with a free pass for not playing on Boite. But this is another online gaming portal in the same vein as Yucata and Board Game Arena, where we have the 2D representation. Here's Alchemists. 2D representation of the game. Oh, this just goes to how to play. That's not what we wanted. Goes to a replication of the game, and zooming in, it gets all blurry, so that doesn't help you either. But you can kind of see this is what the game would look like if you played it on a very small screen from the 80s and you squinted your eyes. So that's not helpful. But It's another platform that is available with different games available on it to play. So again, these are all 2D flat representations, usually have rules enforcement of the games. I haven't played Boite, Jeux, so I'm not sure if it has rules enforcement, but it can be a really good way to try out and dabble in a lot of these games. And you can see, yeah, they have their library right here. Hey, Tsar, cool. Okay, so let's take it to the next level here, though. Then there was Tabletop Simulator. And Tabletop Simulator is an interesting animal to me because this was the first one I came across. I don't know if it was the first one that existed, but it was the first one I came across that was an actual 3D tabletop environment where instead of focusing on basically becoming an app for the game with rules enforcement, what they did is they just created a table with the pieces that actually have like physical physics modeling and stuff. So there's gravity and everything, so you can actually move the pieces around. Everything you can pick up and move and touch, virtually touch and move around on the game. It just gives you the pieces, and you can do whatever you want. You could technically cheat if you wanted to, because it just gives you all the stuff, the components of the game, and it's up to you to play the game by the rules. It doesn't have any built-in rules enforcement in it. Interestingly enough, I don't know why they think this is such a huge selling point, because it's not necessarily for me or anyone that I've ever met in my lifespan, but every single piece of documentation or video or information produced by Tabletop Simulator about their product always first and foremost highlights the ability that Tabletop Simulator is the only simulator where you can let your aggression out by flipping the table. Yes, you can actually flip the table. Here's kind of an example of what the table might look like. You can see here's the little 3D models on it on a little tabletop with a weird actual photo background, which is nice. But if you get upset, you can actually pick up the corner of this virtual table and flip it, and the pieces will go flying everywhere all over the room. Fun, I guess. But I'm not sure exactly, that's not really the focal point. At least I would think that shouldn't be the focal point of Tabletop Simulator. It's more about being able to actually play the game. I know it's a neat little feature that's added into it, but I'm more interested in the support and the level of games that they have and such. And this is the Tabletop Simulator page on Steam. And when it comes to playing it through the Steam application, at least, it's been a while since I really dug into Tabletop Simulator, so I don't know if they've changed their pricing model or business model or what have you. So, but buying Tabletop Simulator through Steam right now is usually $20. Right now it's on sale. So Tabletop Simulator is not a free service like some of the other ones that we have seen already. It is a paid product that you purchase and install on your computer to run. And I believe everyone who participates in it may need a copy of the game, which is why they sell a 4-pack of it at a discount so that you and up to 4 friends can all be playing and connect to your same games. And it looks like some games and stuff have downloadable content, add-ons, DLC that you can actually buy to add more things and enhance your games that you get. It looks like there's like 21 right now, 21 little add-ons and stuff. So that's Tabletop Simulator, which, to be honest, for me, I appreciate and I like, but wasn't the one that really caught my eye yet. I don't actually own a copy of it. I've just dabbled with it a little bit. But the one that caught my eye, and maybe it's just because I'm a Luddite, and just like Kabuki Kid and I in our penalty box, I'm more of a Luddite, wanting something with a little sharper, is Tabletopia is the one that I actually have invested more of my time and stuff into actually playing and getting into. Tabletopia, however, Tabletopia is another, like Tabletop Simulator, is a 3D environment, no rules enforcement. They just give you the physical components of the game to play. There's a library of, I'm not exactly sure how many games in here, but there is, I'd say 40 to 50 easy, at least, of varying levels. There's like just normal cards. Every time I mouse over, it does that. There's normal cards to like Terra Mystica and Scythe on here. So they have a wide range of different games. But it's not a free service. In fact, I found this info on the page for anyone who is interested and just like, what is it? They have several different account plans. They do have free, which doesn't let you get into premium games. I've only found a half dozen actual premium games out of their library. 8-Minute Empire's Legends was one of the premium games that I discovered on this, and I'm not sure what about 8-Minute Empire Legends made it a premium game versus a lot of the other games that are on here that aren't premium. So it's not necessarily the size or complexity of the game. I think it's more of the marketing deal that they make with the publisher on a game-by-game basis. But you essentially, whether you can play the premium games, whether you can have guests in the games, set up a gaming room, have how many different games you can have running at a time, because one of the benefits of these online portals is that you can have a game running, everyone has a go, and you come back later and you pick up right where you left off. So this lets you do that with two. So they do have a free option, which is a little bit has a lot of their features held back. But then there's $5 and $10 a month, and you get more and more stuff. But that is their pricing model. It's actually, unlike the others, it's not free. It's not even a one-time fee. It is a subscription model. And I'm hoping, in case this sounds familiar from my experience with Magic the Gathering, I'm hoping that the online subscription model is in place so that the developers of Tabletopia can be investing that money into future development and improvement of the platform. Didn't work with Magic the Gathering Online, but hopefully it'll work on this one. We'll see. But there you go. There's kind of an overview of a lot of the platforms that kind of over the last 15 years or so, especially the last just 5 years, that I've come to see and use and what I know about them. Hopefully, some of these are platforms that you didn't know about yet, and are platforms that you can experiment with, which will help you to play more games with people that may not be local to your area, even maybe people who are local. But hopefully that provides some information that's helpful. Okay, I have talked enough at the moment, so I'm going to return to the chat, and we're going to go through kind of an extended lightning round, trying to catch up on this chat to see what everyone else has had to say while I've been going through all these games. So we'll probably be going back in time a little bit with chats referencing older things, but let's see what you guys had to say on this topic. So let's go. All right. Okay. Satya joins us again to mention, oh boy, I think the comments really jumped. Sorry. Hang on one second. Dabbled, Magic the Gathering. Oh, no, they didn't. Okay. Sasha mentions, online play is not the best experience, but nice if you can do it with some friends who live somewhere not near you. I think I've mentioned, I totally agree with that. I think it's a great way for playing with people who are not local. Stefan mentions, I had some fun with the Galaxy Trucker app. It's cute, but it's nothing compared to watching each other's ships blow up in person. So another vote, Stefan there. Stefan seems to be another vote for, given the choice, physical beats online. And again, we may be preaching to the choir here. I mean, this is a show, for and participated in primarily by board gamers. So we may have a bias. So due to this bias, Kabuki, perhaps we're not such Luddites after all. Perhaps it's just the crowd we run with. So let's continue on. Gazencha mentions, currently in a play-by-forum game. Oh, wow, there's a whole platform we didn't even think about. Play-by-forum game of 1830, come to think of it. So yeah, there's play-by-mail. Diplomacy, I know, has done that way a lot. Like I said, there's a whole nother way of playing online that we didn't even scratch the surface of. Continue on with Andrew. Andrew mentions, would you be concerned that VR games like this can hurt the profit of board games and in turn hurt the creation of new board games being made? Well, I've talked about this a little bit already in the episode, but I'll just briefly say that I'll repeat what I said before. No, I'm of the mind that increasing the market, I can't remember what they call it, but the mental market share, mind share, increasing the mind share of your product in these various platforms can only be helpful to that product. I hate talking like a marketer like that, but that's the point of view that I have. I would love to see what actually happens when more companies embrace the technology. And hopefully it goes in that same direction. Gazencha mentions, I've also run werewolf games by forum and participated in IRC werewolf games. And that really would make you feel blind, I think. But also, that's one thing about some of these games that have player elimination. If you're playing it online, the player elimination might not be so bad, because once you're eliminated, you can just go plug in and do something else, a different game, without being stuck at the table waiting for everyone else to finish. Kabuki brings up Diplomacy as well. Diplomacy is the famous old game that was played by mail even prior to email. Wow. Can you imagine playing Diplomacy, getting letters saying, the French have just invaded you? That would actually take the immersion to a whole nother level. That'd be pretty cool. But anyway. But Kabuki says, I only want to play in person. By post mail would take out a lot of the qualities of face-to-face negotiation. True, but the potential for unpleasant surprises, though, quadruples. Well, which I think is what Diplomacy really needs, is more unpleasant experiences. Trevin mentions, I live in the middle of nowhere and have no game group. Yes, real life is preferable, but not all of us have that option. That's a very good point. I'm always surprised when people talk about, support your friendly local game store, friendly local game stores, friendly local game stores. I'm always surprised by the number of people who say, I don't have one. The closest one I have is 100 miles away. So a lot of people live a lot more remotely than we realize. And it's nice to have the online counterparts of games available as an option. So that's cool. Sorry, we had a little comment jump there. Mike Jones mentions, Mike, I'm going to do your comment with this accent. I think if you duplicate someone else's creation without their permission or without paying them for their work, then yes, it is theft. Oh my. Okay, we may have to branch this off to its a whole episode, because this could be a really good fiery discussion, not a flame war or anything or an argument, but a really good powerful discussion here. And I can respect your opinion on that, and I see where you're coming from. But the question I have is, just to clarify, get down to the nitty gritty nuts and bolts of that. You mentioned you think if you duplicate someone else's creation without permission or without paying them for their work, then yes, it's theft. The mere duplication of it. So saying I have my Santorini example, if I wanted to replicate Santorini just to play with my family in the house here, and I just used chess and checker pieces to recreate the game, is that theft? Or would it be more if I created Santorino, a game that just happens to be exactly like it using different pieces? I know there's a lot of difference in opinion of where that line is drawn. I'm not going to get into a philosophical debate about it here and now, but this might be one that we table or virtual table for now and come back to, because I think that's a really neat philosophical discussion. And I'm not saying any one of us is right or wrong. That's why I don't want to feel like you're being flamed. But really neat to see the different points of view, and I think we'll have to come back to that one. But for now, unfortunately, we have to continue on to get through some more comments. Continuing with Kabuki, who mentions, publishers should likely embrace it. The Tabletopia and online portals and such should embrace it because it will give them a lot more exposure. And I totally agree with the exposure aspect. I don't think it necessarily will lead to cannibalization of the product. I think it will lead to increased exposure and is a really good opportunity. 20-Sided Turtle mentions, It reminds me of the early days of online music or movies. I always looked at it as accountability. I can try something, and if it's good, then I can give them money. If not, I don't have to. Accountability. This, again, slides right into the nice potential discussion about theft with Mike Jones brought up. I like the aspect of accountability that you added into that. I think that's not to have a potential spoiler for any future possible discussion, but I think accountability would probably be the cornerstone of my view on that topic. So it's good to get kind of a glimpse at that. And I think accountability is a good point. And I think the online music and movies it's a similar type of media, but I can see the overlap there, especially when we get into this portion of the discussion. So that's, again, would be something to explore, really nice to explore in more detail later. Okay, but let's continue on with these comments that we have right now in front of us. Mike Jones again continues, publishers would be foolish not to embrace online gaming portals and stuff. Profit of any kind beats no profit, and it will wipe them out if they don't. Oh. When I worked in a previous life time, when I worked for a large video game publisher, there were a lot of corporate decisions that seemed backwards. The saying was, going on, which goes along with profit of any kind beats no profit. There were a lot of decisions made by the company that seemed to be, let's make a penny today versus $1 tomorrow. And it was like, no, you don't necessarily need to make your penny today if down the road, a year from now, you'll make $1. And in that case, profit of any kind was not wise to do. Delayed profit would have been better in the long run. And I think that's what a lot of these publishers that are slow to embrace these online portals are worrying about, is cannibalizing the long-term profit of it. Am I going to maybe make, is it going to be popular online for now, but then people are going to be able to find it online, and over time it's going to cannibalize my physical sales. And I think that's the thing that they fear, some of them at least. But again, let's continue the discussion because love to know more. But let's also go to the next comment so we can continue the discussion. Thank you, Mike, for the awesome comments that you're posting on here. Trevin also continues the discussion by saying publishers really have no choice but to embrace it. And look at music and other media. They can make nothing because of Napster or make profitable deals with iTunes. That's and again, we're getting to a lot of topics here that we could branch off, but that is one thing I wanted to touch on. Having no choice but to embrace it because of the way the industry and media is changing. I think that electronic online versions of stuff are going to become, like I said, more of the norm and more commonplace in years to come. And as things change, I think you're absolutely right. Publishers are going to need to embrace it. Lots of things change in the industry. And again, this is kind of another topic that we'll get into, but I'll leave off here with another example of embracing something. Just like the virtual and online portals, again, a lot of publishers seem to be shouting at the top of their lungs, support the FLGSs, the friendly local game stores. We're going to make programs that, penalize online retailers that do deep discounts to take money out of the friendly local game stores, because that's what, that's where the gamers are born. And I think that can be a misguided approach in some situations when it's done to artificially prop up the friendly local game stores. When the media and the world, the industry is changing away from that to online models, whether it be online gaming like this, whether or not it cannibalizes friendly local game stores or publishers or whatever, physical copies of games, but the online counterparts, the board game cafes even, if that is where society is moving towards, then instead of fighting to keep the old ways just because a company has established themselves in that, a better way to go would be embracing the new ways of where everyone is going, because that's where a lot of the customers are going due to convenience and increased usability and things that fit their lifestyle, instead of trying to fit their lifestyle into that method of playing and purchasing the games. Anyway, so that in a way, I hope, wraps a ribbon around the discussion, kind of demonstrating again how I think that the online portals, Tabletopia, Tabletop Simulator, Yucata, Board Game Arena, yes, even you, Magic the Gathering Online, I think all of those actually can be healthy for the industry, and I think that they will be complementing the physical production of the board games instead of cannibalizing it. How wrong am I? Somewhat wrong or very, very wrong? Let me know in the comments below. And because I unfortunately have run out of time to share with you today. So I apologize to everyone whose comments I did not get to today, but you're welcome to post them again in the comments below this YouTube video, or if you weren't here in the live stream, feel free to post it there now as well. And until the next time that we get a chance to have a discussion, I encourage you to keep tabs on what's going on in the world of board gamery by subscribing to both the Dice Tower and the Pair of Dice Paradise YouTube channels. And while you're out there being virtual out there on the internet, be sure to also check out our Facebook and Twitter pages to continue the discussions about board games until our next episode. Until that next episode, I've been Chaz Marler, your host for The Metagame. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join me, and I'll talk to you again really soon. Take care.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.